On the day Camila and I were getting married, her idol unexpectedly arrived in our city. She wore the wedding dress I had custom made for her and ran off to his concert, boldly expressing her love for him. In a fit of anger, I called off the engagement, but she posted about it online, and the internet turned against me. Since she showed no mercy, neither she nor her idol should stay in the entertainment industry. Camila, I will cherish and love you with my whole life. I knelt down, slowly sliding the wedding ring onto her finger. Our fingers brushed, and I felt both nervous and excited. After all, I had rehearsed this moment countless times in my dreams. Camila's eyes sparkled as she gazed at me, her face full of emotion. But the next second, her best friend Daphne shouted from the guest seats, "Camila, Alexander is at the stadium right now. Do you want to go?" I couldn't believe it. What the hell? I'm in the middle of a proposal. The mood was completely ruined. But with a loud clang, the ring fell to the ground. Camila lifted her skirt and, without saying a word, rushed down the stage. She grabbed Daphne and ran out. My relatives and friends, like me, were left confused for a long time before finally reacting. Did the bride just run away? Wasn't she fine just a second ago? Isn't this called running away from the wedding? Probably still thinking about some other guy. That's why she didn't want to marry. I get it. It's her first love, right? What first love? I was being dragged through the mud. In reality, my parents' faces were just as bad as mine. The engagement party ended just like that, without any explanation. I tried contacting her, but my calls wouldn't go through. It wasn't until a friend sent me a link that I saw her again on the trending news. It turned out her idol, the young heartthrob Alexander, had decided to hold a surprise mini-concert in our city. He had planned this well in advance, since the city's residents had high spending power, and there were definitely people willing to pay for him to come. All his fans swarmed in, and Camila was one of them, leaving her wedding wearing a custom-made strapless princess gown. My hand trembled as I clicked on the top trending link. Alexander's fan wears wedding dress and boldly confesses her love. In the video, Camila was lucky enough to be picked out and displayed on the big screen. Her makeup was flawless, her hair perfectly styled, and combined with the luxurious wedding dress I had paid a fortune for. Designed by an Italian designer, Camila looked like a delicate doll, causing the crowd to stir. Alexander froze for a second, then a look of excitement spread across his face as if he'd seen a prize catch. My heart skipped a beat, and I had a bad feeling. "Are you dressed like this to meet me? Do you want to be my girl?" When Alexander spoke, the crowd nearly went wild. Camila blushed and opened her mouth as though trying to say something. Through the screen, I could tell she was saying, "I love you." To make sure he understood, she wrote, "I want to marry you," in big letters on her phone and showed it to the camera. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. "Aren't I your fiancé? We were just getting married today. How could you suddenly want to marry someone else?" I scrolled through the comments, hoping to find someone who felt as sick as I did, but all I saw were comments full of envy. I'd marry Alexander too. I'd go through fire and water for him. Even if I had to be his dog, I'd accept it as long as he looked at me. He looks so handsome today. I can't believe she's getting a glimpse of him while wearing a wedding dress. What a lucky girl. I was completely dumbfounded and confused. What had Alexander done to deserve this? Was he some kind of savior, or did he give people millions of dollars? Why were they all lowering themselves like this? Filled with anger, I called Camila again. No answer. Then I called Daphne, and after a few rings, she finally picked up. "What do you want, Gabriel? Don't you know I'm having fun with Camila right now?" I could hear loud music and chatter in the background. It sounded like a bar. "Where are you guys? I need to talk to Camila." I took a deep breath, trying to calm my furrowed brows. "Gabriel, we're having a great time. You better not meddle." Before I could reply, she hung up the phone. How could I not meddle? My fiancé had run off from our engagement party, and now she was nowhere to be found. Late at night, I put on my suit jacket and began searching bar by bar near the stadium. Finally, in the midst of the loud music, I saw Camila in the center of the dance floor, being held by a man around the waist. The man was wearing a hat and a mask, but his hands were far too familiar on Camila's body. I thought she would stop him, but instead, she tilted her head back, looking at him with a gaze full of longing and admiration. Showing no resistance, I rushed over and shoved the two of them apart. The man's mask came off with the motion. Of course, it was Alexander. Maybe the lighting was dim, and no one else around noticed the commotion. "What's going on here? She's my fiancé. What were you doing just now?" I directly revealed my identity to Alexander, but he showed no shame at all. Instead, he snorted coldly. "Why don't you ask your dear fiancé whether the person she loves is you or me?" I turned to look at Camila, thinking that maybe even in front of her so-called young idol, she might hesitate before making a choice. But without a second thought, she spoke up. "Gabriel, can you be a bit more mature? You know Alexander is my youth and obsession. This is the only chance I'll ever have to get close to him, so stop making a scene." Okay, that's when I finally couldn't hold it in any longer. Camila, have you lost your mind? He dares to invite you to a bar, and the next moment, he could drag you to a hotel. So what? I'm willing. She deliberately emphasized the last 4 words, as if seeing it as an honor to be treated this way. Then she linked arms with Alexander, and walked away without looking back. Going back, Alexander even turned to give me a provocative gesture. I did have the impulse to punch him, but rationality quickly returned, and I realized, is it really worth it for Camila? She debased herself, willing to abandon all her principles for the so-called idol and youth. A woman like this. Maybe there's no need to continue walking down this path together. I drank myself into a stupor at the bar, trying to forget all my memories with Camila. I couldn't bear to imagine what kind of wild night they must have had. As a man, my dignity had been trampled. On the ground, I felt worthless. When the first light of dawn broke, I typed out a text, "We're over." It wasn't to seek her opinion, it was a notification. Camila and I are completely over. Life would go on as usual, except she wouldn't be in it anymore. After a night of drunkenness, I went back to the factory I managed. The business hasn't been doing well in recent years, as people have shifted to buying foreign goods, which has hurt our sales, but since my first year of university, my parents gave me full ownership to learn how to manage it. Over time, I've managed to carve out a place for it in the business. World bro, something's wrong. James, my younger brother, came running in a panic, scratching his dizzy head. My heart sank. Did something happen to the factory yesterday? Your wife No Camille wore a wedding dress to meet that young idol. Today, she's put you on trending, saying that because of this, you're breaking up with her. The internet is all over you. I felt a loud bang in my head and immediately pulled out my phone. Sure enough, back girlfriend watches concert boyfriend Pua breakup was at the top of the trending list. It even seemed to be trending towards going viral. I clicked on it and realized that Camila had used her newfound fame from last night's concert to post the message I sent her. She claimed I was petty for breaking up with her over something like this. The comment section was flooded with people, sympathizing with their beautiful Missy. I was left dumbfounded, surrounded by 100 question marks. But what was worse, she didn't even hide my name in the message. The 2 words Gabriel were clearly visible. Some even went as far as to say they'd send me razor blades and dead rats. Turns out he's a scumbag, so narrow-minded. What's wrong? With her wearing a wedding dress to marry my brother, I think you're just jealous. How about posting a picture? Show us what you really look like. Take a good look in the mirror first. I agree with the person above. This guy is so old-fashioned. Pretty miss, you should break up with him. I immediately called her. This time, she answered quickly. Camila, what's going on? You're the one who caused all this mess, and now you're blaming me. To my surprise, she snorted. Gabriel, it doesn't matter now. Alexander said I have the potential to become famous, and he wants to make me a star. When I'm a big star, being your ex will be enough for you to brag about. Consider it providing me with ... some publicity. So I was being used just as a stepping stone for her rise to fame. Do you really think becoming famous is that easy? You know exactly why Alexander is helping you. I don't care. At least being with you, a failed man, is a lot better than being with you. You just have a face, but you're stuck managing that small factory and can't even make any real money. Before I could retort, the voice on the other side cooed, "Baby, E." The sound made me sick to my stomach. It was Alexander. The next moment, I could hear kissing sounds from the other side. I knew this was an outright provocation. Maybe they thought I would just obediently accept the online abuse, but even if the insult swallowed me whole, I would never submit. I organized a clear, well-structured document and copied it onto a USB drive, planning to release the evidence of their betrayal. Bro, Mom and Dad want you to come home. James waved his phone at me, indicating something. Although Camila thought my family was pathetic, in reality, it wasn't that bad. We have a large estate in the suburbs, which is now worth at least 9 figures. But I rarely go home because my dad threw me into the factory to train while I was still in school. I've questioned the true wealth of my family, but my parents have always said this estate was just something we happened to buy when we were young. It's the only thing of value in our family. I could only believe them, but when I returned home today, I immediately felt that something was different. As soon as I stepped inside, I discovered that the once vast lawn had been converted into a helipad. A helicopter was parked there in plain sight. Gabriel, you're back. My mother was the first to come out, adorned in jewels and luxury. The old housewife look had completely disappeared without a trace. That helicopter, it's ours. I was so shocked I nearly stuttered. Right after, my parents dropped a bombshell. Turns out my family was actually one of the most prominent, wealthy families. In Beijing's elite circle, the reason they had kept it from me all these years was to prevent me from becoming spoiled or morally corrupt. Managing the factory had been their way of testing me from the start. Sigh. We originally planned to tell you before the engagement. My mom said, but your dad insisted it would be better as a wedding surprise. Who would have thought things would go so wrong? That woman even dared to insult you online. Thank goodness the wedding didn't go through. Honestly, what even is a woman worth anymore? At this moment, I was already standing high above the clouds. I didn't expect you to revive that failing factory either. My father said, your mother and I are planning to retire and travel from now on. The company is yours. His assistant brought over a document, and my father signed it on the spot. When he handed it to me, I almost collapsed after seeing the number of zeros. They were giving me full financial control of the group. Whether you want revenge or just to do nothing, we don't care, as long as you're... They got into a Maybach and drove off in style. With this much money, even if I spent recklessly every day, I could still live in luxury for several lifetimes. But I had to admit, my parents' unorthodox way of raising me did make sense. Unlike most spoiled rich kids, I was hardened at the grassroots level. My ability to endure hardship and make strategic decisions shouldn't be underestimated. That very day, I founded an entertainment company. I signed a number of talented but lesser-known actors. We've got all kinds of actors now. Any role that Camila auditions for, we'll fight her for it. Since she was so desperate to be famous, I'd make sure she never got what she wanted. At the same time, I hired a team of paparazzi to tail Alexander and Camila. But surprisingly, didn't catch Camila. Instead, they got a bunch of pictures of Alexander with other women. His private life was so chaotic, even I was shocked. After digging into the background, I found out that because I had been snatching up all the scripts Camila wanted, Alexander felt like his efforts and bribes to get her into roles had all gone to waste. So he started emotionally manipulating Camila and even began pushing her to become a borderline adult streamer to support his studio. But no matter what, that still doesn't excuse him from sleeping around. Release the photos. Let Alexander's delusional fangirls see what kind of man he really is. My newly hired assistant didn't quite understand but still handled it quickly and efficiently. That very night, Alexander was torn to shreds online. His PR team tried wave after wave of damage control, but the netizens just wouldn't stop. Still, there were some diehard fans desperately defending him. He just made a mistake every man would make. Why do you all have to be so harsh? This is clearly a setup. Someone is trying to frame our baby Alexander. I couldn't comprehend it, but I was deeply shocked. Has the entertainment industry's morality really sunk this low? But Alexander wasn't stupid, just promiscuous. Before the storm had even passed, he found out I was behind it. He came to the top floor of my office building, with Camila in tow. Camila's eyes were full of resentment as she looked at him. Of course, her dreamy first love turned out to be a complete mess in real life. Let's hear it. What exactly is going on here? I spun the pen in my hand and looked up at the two standing before me. Alexander, who's usually called Baby, looked very average today without any makeup. As for Camila, she was still wearing a revealing dress, probably just finished a live stream. It's exactly what it looks like. Even if I didn't come after you, with the way you are, you'd have been finished in this industry sooner or later. Alexander raised his fist, ready to swing. But after glancing at the two tall bodyguards beside me, he chickened out instantly. Gabriel, didn't you say your family runs a factory? What's with this kind of office building? Camila stared in shock at everything. And here, you idiot. Alexander's tone changed completely. Gabriel's family is the famous Gabriel clan from Beijing's elite circle. Then he turned servile in a second. I'll give Camila back to you. Let's call it even. I smirked and looked at Camila, whose face had turned pale. What do you think, Miss Camila? Do you want to be a ball kicked around between people? As I looked at the slim girl before me, a wave of bitterness welled up inside. Camila and I started dating back in our first year of college. I was the one who pursued her. Back then, I was always running between the factory and school, trying to learn the ways of business. Once, during a business dinner in a private room, I was pressured into drinking until my stomach hurt, but the client showed no signs of letting up. Camila, who was working part-time there as a waitress, saw me struggling and secretly slipped me some antacid candies. Later, after I closed the deal and stumbled outside to catch a ride home, I saw her being harassed by a group of men at the entrance under the street lamp. She was frail, wearing only a light cardigan. She struggled desperately, casting a pleading look in my direction. After taking a few punches, I shouted, "She's my girlfriend," to give myself some courage and managed to pull her away. Later, I learned that she had been working there to earn money for her mother's medical treatment. Her father had been an alcoholic, and one day he died in a car crash after drinking. Her mother, a chronic patient, needed constant medication. So, from the moment she entered university, she worked tirelessly. Eventually, she became my girlfriend. I stopped her from working at such places and always gave her money to spend. I wanted to shield her from her past struggles, to be the person she could lean on in the storm. But when did she become so casual and lacking in principles? Maybe it was when I started covering all her living expenses, including her mother's medical bills. Maybe it was when Daphne took her to start chasing after Alexander. Or maybe it was when she became obsessed with high-end luxury items and asked me, "This broken factory has no future. You should find another way to make money. She got used to asking me for everything, but in doing so, quietly erased the strong, resilient person she once was. Gabriel, it's all my fault. Please don't leave me, she cried, tears streaming down her face, trying to hold on to me. Leave. I said, you have your own hands and feet. You don't need anyone else. And by the way, stop being an adult streamer. I held myself back, just barely stopping myself from saying, don't degrade yourself. Also, do you have any idea how many people sent me dead rats during the online bullying? I need an apology. If the apology isn't sincere, I won't go easy on you. I tossed them a USB drive containing photos of their intimate moments at the bar and records of their hotel check-in. I wanted to make a statement, though of course, it wouldn't be as explosive as them admitting it themselves in the end. With the security guards pushing them out, the two of them quickly disappeared from my sight. Alexander posted on Weibo, admitting to his romantic involvement with Camila, and apologized for cheating on her. Honestly, does this guy have issues with reading comprehension? I asked for an apology from him, not for him to attack Camila at the same time. Camila posted a long message saying, loving two people at the same time was my fault and I hope Gabriel won't blame me anymore. She didn't include any pictures, though it seemed like I had been talking to a brick wall all day. These two were really going all out to save face, but that wasn't the end of it. After posting her long message, Camila released our past conversations and memories from our student days. Gabriel, today I wore a wedding dress for someone else. From now on, I will wear a wedding dress for you for the rest of my life. That line inexplicably struck a chord with many people, and the same netizens who had previously attacked me came back, furiously slamming me again. Blind man, narrow-minded man, you don't deserve Our Lady's love. No wonder she cheated on Alexander. With a guy like you, it's absurd not to cheat. The public sense of morality was lower than I had imagined. They were praising the cheater while cursing the one who was cheated on. I was wearing that green hat and still being insulted. It seemed like their apologies didn't matter, and wasting my time trying to get through to them was futile, just like trying to wake up someone who pretends to be asleep. Since they wanted to maintain their pitiful face, I might as well rip it to shreds. I called the boss of a certain social media platform, and within moments, the following hashtags appeared on the trending page. Hashtag Alexander and CAMILA after concert bar hotel. Hashtag Camila runs away from wedding. Hashtag Beijing young master gets CUCKED. Since Camila had hoped to use her emotional plea to win me back and gain fame, I decided to strike first and knock her down hard. As netizens eagerly gossiped, even the guests who had attended the engagement party released a VCR. When Camila heard Alexander, she immediately ran off in her wedding dress, not even glancing back, leaving me standing alone on stage. My expression was 1,000 times more heartbroken than any broken heart could be. Some even released photos from that night at the bar, with captions like, I didn't know they were this disgusting couple at the time, but the guy was so greasy, who knew it was Alexander? My eyes were deceived. Everything I didn't say was perfectly conveyed. This time, the social media platform truly collapsed. Netizens rushed in like it was New Year's Eve to eat up the gossip. The event stayed trending for an entire week. Alexander was being ruthlessly criticized, yet still refused to leave the industry. Camila solidified her image as a scumbag and fraud, and was so heavily attacked that even her live streams got shut down. But, in comparison, I, who was at the center of the storm, attracted even more attention. Maybe the Beijing Young Master label was just more attractive. Our company's website had millions of visitors every day. Some came just to check out my resume, while others, once inside, couldn't resist buying a ton of products. Inadvertently, this helped boost my worth by billions. My public image underwent a 180-degree turnaround. I'm amazed. This guy is like the male lead in a handsome novel, from a poor background and now turning the fate of a struggling factory around through sheer ability. Camila had the chance to rise from an ugly duckling to a swan, but she destroyed it herself. Sorry, Mr. Gabriel, I was too loud before. Do you still need a girlfriend? My life story, from childhood to adulthood, was even made into a PowerPoint presentation and widely circulated online. But things weren't over yet. I exposed Alexander's tax evasion. After an investigation, both he and his studio were completely shut down. He was finally kicked out of the entertainment industry for good. Because of this, Alexander's name appeared on the trending list one last time, marking the collapse of Camila's biggest support. Gabriel, I was wrong before. Please forgive me. Let's have another wedding. As I was leaving the office building, Camila suddenly jumped out from some obscure corner, grabbing onto the leg of my suit pants and bursting into tears. She looked truly pitiful. I bent down on one knee, just like I used to when tying her shoelaces. Miss Camila, you know very well, betrayal is the one thing I can't forgive, and don't forget. You said it yourself. My family's broken factory was never going to make much money. It's me who wasn't good enough for you. My sarcasm only made her cry harder. I didn't know you were such a treasure back then. I was blind. I gripped her chin and forced her to meet my gaze. Ask yourself, do you really love me, or are you just after my family's money? If I weren't a rich kid from Beijing, would you have even given me the time of day? Her teary eyes were filled with guilt, but not a trace of the clarity they once held. Gabriel, my mom is sick again. The doctor says she needs special medication. I paused mid-step. Then get her treated. Don't tell me you haven't saved a dime after all these years. I knew she was trying to play the family card, but I couldn't afford to be soft. She probably doesn't know what happened. She's in the hospital, asking to see you. Camila's mother had long become someone special to me, more like family, or even like a mother. Back in the day, whenever I drank myself sick from client meetings, it was her mom who cooked hangover soup and congee for me. With my parents constantly away on business, I had to handle everything alone. During the toughest times at the factory, I even moved into Camila's home to shorten my commute. Her mother cooked for me every day. If my clothes had a tear, she'd notice and mend them. The maternal love I'd lacked, I slowly found it through her. Get in the car. In the end, I softened. After all, I'm only human. At the hospital, Camila's mother immediately kicked her out of the room and held my hand tightly. Gabriel, you finally came. What Camila did was wrong. I saw it with my own eyes. When she ran off during the engagement ceremony, my heart skipped a beat, afraid she'd say, for my sake, please get back together with her. But that never came. Only a long, weary sigh. It's my fault for not raising her properly. I've heard about what happened. You two should break up. I don't want her dragging you down. You deserve a better girl. And don't pay for my medical bills anymore. The money you've given me over the years is enough to last me to 100. I didn't cry when Camila cheated on me, but now, facing this frail woman on the hospital bed, I couldn't stop the tears. I thought that after this, it would all be over. At least her mother's attitude might help Camila give up for good. But once again, I underestimated her. Camila started waiting outside my company during the day, just to see me, begging for a glance. Gabriel, look, I brought you the zhajiang noodles we used to eat in college. You haven't had dinner with me in so long. Gabriel, you promised to cherish me and love me for life. How could you forget? She tried using different words every day, hoping to rekindle a sliver of the love I once had for her. But to me, she was nothing more than air, not even worth a glance. At night, she continued streaming online, dancing for money. When she couldn't dance anymore, she'd tell stories of our past. And since it was about me, crowds of people tuned in every night to hear her endlessly recycle those memories. The breaking point came at a matchmaking event. Worried, I developed a fear of marriage after everything that happened. My parents arranged a string of blind dates for me. At the first one, just as the girl across from me was about to exchange contact info, Camila came bursting in, screaming, Gabriel is mine. No one else can have him. We're going to have our wedding again. Before the girl could even react, Camila threw coffee all over her. The girl didn't curse, not once. She simply gave me a long glare. After all, it was my fault for not clearing up the mess of my past properly. Gabriel, please don't fall for another woman. I want your heart to belong to only me. Camila seized the chance to grip my hand tightly. Fearing she might be delusional, I had someone escort her to the hospital for an evaluation. But not long after, I received a call from one of my employees. Mr. Gabriel, bad news. Miss Camila has escaped from the hospital. She had refused to cooperate with the checkup and ran out of the diagnosis room. But what I didn't expect was that she hadn't escaped alone. She was taken away by Alexander. They both kidnapped my brother James. If you want your brother to stay alive, transfer 100 million to my account. After hanging up, I quickly reported it to the police. It must take some serious misjudgment to think that kidnapping someone would be a good way to extort money. By the time they get the money, they'll likely be sitting in prison for life. The place where they held James was an abandoned warehouse. Alexander, acting like a madman, was holding a knife to James's neck. Gabriel, it's all your fault. You ruined everything for me. Made me lose all my money. Let your brother pay the price for your sins. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Silent. From what I know of him, he's someone who's afraid of even hanging from a harness while filming. Such a cowardly person. Now he was only bluffing. Gabriel, if you marry me and give the money to Alexander, your brother can go free. Camila was standing by, trying to act like she was in control, but in reality, she was admitting that this whole kidnapping was their scheme. What a foolish, villainous plot. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to give him any money, nor do I plan to marry you. First, if something happens to my brother, my company will be entirely mine. Shouldn't I be happy about that? Second, Camila, don't you feel embarrassed? I haven't done anything to you out of respect for your mother. The knife on James's neck dropped, and Alexander snapped out of his frenzy. It was as if he just realized how impulsive and foolish his decision had been, but not Camila. She picked up the knife and placed it on her own neck. Gabriel, if you don't marry me, I'll kill myself. I admit I'm greedy, but my feelings for you have always been real. I was just playing around with Alexander. Don't leave me, please. Think about our past. I've been with you for 7 years. I sighed slightly and spoke with resignation. Sometimes I wonder if it was a mistake to be with you in the first place. You could have been an independent and strong woman, but instead, you've come to depend on me. And I will never forgive someone who betrays me. Although the police had been urging me to soften my tone, I knew it was time to put an end to Camila's fake threats. The delicate skin on her neck had been cut, a thin stream of blood trickling down. She shuddered in pain. The police took the opportunity to rush forward and seize the knife from her. I've thought about our past, but every time I do, it hurts. It's gone, and it can't be fixed. It was truly over, just like Alexander and Camila's future. Alexander was sentenced for attempted kidnapping and would carry this criminal record for the rest of his life. In fact, my parents and I weren't in a much better mood. Good job, son, they said. Later, I learned that Camila had shown signs of schizophrenia as early as middle school. Her alcoholic father was abusive and cheated, while her mother was chronically ill. She'd been repressing everything, and it was only after meeting me that she slowly started to recover. I hired the best lawyer to defend Camila, hoping she would be treated in a psychiatric hospital while serving her sentence. Later, I took Camila's mother to visit her once. Her mental state was much better, but she was terrified of me. It's you. I gave you hangover pills, but you still abandoned me. I don't want you anymore. I want to wear a wedding dress and marry Alexa under he's handsome and rich. I remained silent. The doctor said she constantly talked about marrying Alexander and getting a wedding dress. Maybe she would live out her days like this, lost in her madness. Camila's mother burst into tears, holding her. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I gave you this broken family. After we left, I arranged for the best caregiver to take care of Camila's mother. Later, before her death, Camila's mother had the caregiver passed on a message to me. The past is over. You pulled her out of the swamp, but her choice to jump back into the abyss was her own. In the end, it's me who owes her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my daughter. With tears in my eyes, I felt like I was back at my engagement party with Camila. This time, I truly placed the wedding ring on her finger, and Alexander was never part of her youth.